Hey all you cool cats and kittens, it's another week of being stuck indoors while we try not to let the world burn. So let's go ahead and crack open a beer so we can get through this pandemic. This week we're going to be talking about one of BottleLogic's newest releases for 2020, Hypermash Hydra. It's a barrel-aged imperial stout with coconut, cinnamon, and coffee aged in bourbon barrels. So let's give it a try here. Comes out like maple syrup. I know that doesn't sound the most appetizing way to describe a beer, but honestly I think it's gonna end up working out. Cheers! Holy crap, that's pretty stellar. Very, 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 very thick. Honestly, like drinking like just pure molasses, but I really see the hype around this beer. So this is the 2020 like rebrew of this beer. Originally they had brewed it during Week of Logic, I think 2019. So this is just another Stasis Project version of stuff they've already teased in the past. In terms of beers I would compare it to, I guess Abnormal's Maple Mornings is probably pretty close to this, but this thing it's really unique. I've never really had anything like this. The thing I guess me compared to like, let's say Maple Mornings, is that this thing is like super thick. Definitely would compare it with something like a dessert. It definitely tastes a lot better as it warms up. We had pulled this out of the fridge like 20-30 minutes ago, so it's warmed up to closer to room temperature, but honestly a really stellar beer. So just my experience with BottleLogic. BottleLogic's in my top 5, probably I think number 4 on my list, which at some point in the future I'll do a top 10 video of all the breweries I like. They're in Anaheim, which is in the Disneyland area. It's about an hour and 15 minutes north of us, depending on the traffic. You know, with COVID-19 going on, it's more probably closer to like an hour and 5 minutes since there's no traffic. But if you ever see this bottle just out in the wilderness, it's probably going to be a little pricier. I think the price point on this was $26.99 at retail. So if you find it in a bottle shop, maybe throw on 10%. But honestly, I highly recommend it. If you see it, pick the max allocations you can get for it. If it's limit 2, just go ahead and get limit 2 and pull the trigger. Can't get enough of this. So a little more specifics on kind of on how this beer came about, and a little bit more on the flavor profiles. This is a triple mash stout, as they claim in the description, made with frankly a crap ton of ingredients. 2,000 pounds of coconut, crap ton of, I think somewhere like 175 pounds of Columbia Petronas coffee, and just to top it all off, a metric crap ton of Saigon cinnamon. And out of all of those flavors, I think the cinnamon probably stands out the most. The coconut's there, and it definitely kind of smooths out the flavor profile, so you're not just tasting, you know, just pure cinnamon in your mouth that, like, you know, adds a little bit of spice to it. The coconut really just kind of smooths it out. Honestly, I think this is one of the better Stasis projects they've released this year, even maybe even compared to last year. A little bit more details on kind of how you get these Stasis Project bottles, because it is admittedly kind of a pain in the ass. Rightfully so. This is definitely a beer that's worth the effort. Every, I think, 2 or 3 weeks, BottleLogic will announce like what their new Stasis Project beer is. So these are beers that are only available for a specific amount of time in a specific amount of bottles. They'll announce on their Instagram ahead of time. But they're sold through Eventbrite every other Sunday-ish around noon. And if you want a bottle of any of the Stasis projects, even if it's like a super hype one like this, or some of the more predictable ones like Staff of a Seer or Picture, if you will, you have to get on at noon in order to get so. And, you know, frankly, to put it bluntly, Eventbrite is not very good about about being able to handle a sudden pings to get for people getting into the store. So you really need to get on like 5 to 10 minutes beforehand and just keep hitting F5 or refresh in your browser in order to ensure that right at noon you get right into the store's page in order to add it to your cart. I honestly think that this is probably the best one of 2020 so far. There are still a couple I have in my fridge I honestly hadn't had a chance to open yet, but if we got something as good as this just with the first third of the year, can't wait to see what the other 2/3 of the year is going to end up turning out to be. Now, just my experience with Bottle Logic, we go up pretty frequently, even admittedly with COVID-19 going on. I try to go up once a month to pick up whatever the new release is, usually pick up my bottles of whatever the Stasis project is, and try to grab a couple crowlers of some of the more experimental beers. Bottle Logic does have like a mainline series of stuff, mostly like IPAs and like ales. Siempre Explorando is probably one of my favorite recent releases of the canned stuff, but what I recommend focusing on when you go to Bottle Logic or you're trying to get any of their bottles via Eventbrite, go for any of the Stasis Project beers. They do also do a kind of like prototype Stasis Project in cans. I believe they're done with the series now, but just follow Bottle Logic's Instagram and just see all the crazy stuff that they're planning on releasing. Unfortunately, you have to go in person to go get your order of Stasis Project. With the whole situation of the tasting room closures because of the current situation with what's going on with the world, they are allowing proxies at this time. Before they weren't doing that. So if you happen to not be anywhere near Southern California or know anybody, or you can at least like get somebody to go out and pick it up for you. So long as you put in the profile when you order that someone is going to be able to pick it up for you. You gotta provide their ID and usually their driver's license number. Oh, going to the end here, Untappd rating on this beer, surprisingly extremely high. One of the higher beers I've ever seen. At over a few hundred ratings, its overall rating is a 4.79 as of right now, as of April 2020. That being said, if you think about a few hundred reviews and the average review is almost a 4.8, it's a pretty damn good beer where people are rating it, between 4 and 5. Personally, for me, I'd recommend this beer. Probably give it a 4.75. This is a pretty good. It is a pretty good bottle of beer of the Stasis. It's one of the better Stasis Project releases. I don't really have any recommendations on how you would even improve this thing. I guess my only recommendation is get yourself, big bowl of ice cream, preferably in a waffle cone. This is going to pair with it very, very nicely. And that's going to wrap it up for this week's video. Go ahead and like, follow, subscribe, do all that social media activity. Follow me on Instagram, Matt the Destroyer, Untappd at BFHPA, and I'll catch you on the hop side. Cheers. That's roasty.
Now can the producer get some more? Just a little bit.
Well, last time I poured, apparently my idea a little bit was me being stingy.